The tires screeched against the wet pavement as the SUV flipped over the guardrail, and I didn't hesitate. I slammed my car into park and sprinted through the pouring rain, heart pounding in my ears. With my bare hands I pried open the driver's door and dragged the unconscious woman to safety just seconds before the vehicle erupted in flames. The heat from the explosion singed my eyebrows, but all I could think about was keeping her alive. Rain mixed with the blood on her face as I held her, whispering encouragement while waiting for help. The other drivers who stopped were too shocked to act, their phones flashing with videos that would later go viral as "Hero saves woman from fiery crash." But for me it was just instinct. I had trained as an EMT years ago before switching to youth counseling, and those skills kicked in. The paramedics arrived quickly, praising my quick thinking as they took over. "You saved her life, miss," one said, loading the woman into the ambulance. I followed them to the hospital in my old Honda, my hand still shaking on the wheel. At the ER of St. Mary's Hospital in White Plains, the waiting room was a sea of worried faces and beeping machines. I sat there for hours, my clothes drying into stiff, uncomfortable layers, replaying the moment over and over. Why had I stopped? Why not just call 911 like everyone else? Something about the way the car had spun out felt personal, like the universe was testing me. Finally, a nurse approached. "Are you the one who pulled Mrs. Nguyen out? She's asking for you. She's stable now." Mrs. Nguyen. The name sounded vaguely familiar, but I shook it off. I followed the nurse down the sterile hallway, the smell of antiseptic heavy in the air. The room was dim, monitors beeping steadily. The woman in the bed looked small under the blankets, her Asian features pale but her eyes alert. "You saved me," she said in a soft voice with a slight accent. "I'm Eleanor Nguyen. I owe you my life. Please tell me your name." "Charlie Reynolds," I replied, pulling up a chair. "I'm just glad you're okay. It was a close call." We talked for a while. She told me she was returning from a family gathering in the city when a semi-truck cut her off on the highway. I shared that I worked as a counselor at a local high school, helping kids navigate family pressures and identity issues. It felt oddly therapeutic to talk to her. As I left, she insisted I come back the next day. "My daughter will want to meet you," she said. That night back in my Brooklyn apartment I couldn't sleep. The adrenaline had worn off, leaving me with a strange sense of unease. I scrolled through news on my phone, and there it was. Footage of the crash, my figure dragging the woman to safety. "Local hero saves woman from burning wreck," the headline read. I turned off the phone and stared at the ceiling. Little did I know that this hero moment was about to drag me back into a past I had tried so hard to forget. The next morning I stopped at the florist and picked up a bouquet of lilies, Eleanor's favorite she had mentioned. When I entered her room, she was sitting up, looking much better, her hair brushed and a smile on her face. "Charlie, my angel," she greeted, her voice stronger. We chatted easily like old friends. She talked about her husband, a successful businessman, and their life in the suburbs. Then she pulled out her phone. "You have to meet my daughter, Maya. She's a brilliant lawyer in Manhattan, and she's driving up today especially to thank you." She showed me a photo. My heart stopped. It was Maya. My Maya. The woman with the sharp eyes and gentle smile who had been my everything for 3 years. The one who had held me through my mother's illness, who had whispered, "I love you," in the dark. The one who had broken me when she chose her family. "That's nice." I managed my voice steady despite the storm inside. Eleanor didn't notice my shock. She's always been the pride of the family. We have such high expectations for her. High expectations. The words echoed the reasons Maya had given me when she ended it. "My parents can't handle this, Charlie. It would ruin our reputation in the community. They'd never accept us. The traditional values, the fear of what the extended family and church would say." It all came rushing back. I excused myself soon after, promising to return later. Outside the hospital, I leaned against the wall, breathing hard. How was I supposed to face the woman who had walked away from our love to protect the very family I had just saved? The rain had stopped, but the storm inside me was only beginning. By the time Maya walked into the hospital room that afternoon, the air already felt thick with everything we weren't saying. I stood by the window pretending to check my phone while Eleanor beamed from her bed. "Maya, darling, this is Charlie, the woman who saved my life," she announced proudly. Maya froze in the doorway, her designer coat still dripping from the rain, her eyes locking onto mine with the same stunned recognition I felt. For a split second, the professional mask she wore every day at the law firm cracked. And I saw the girl who used to sneak into my apartment at midnight just to fall asleep in my arms. Charlie, she breathed the name soft and heavy at the same time. Eleanor chattered on, oblivious to the earthquake happening between us. She's a hero, isn't she? Pulled me right out before the fire. Maya swallowed hard, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Thank you. Really. I don't know what I would have done if her voice trailed off and I could hear the guilt underneath. We made small talk for 20 minutes about the weather, the doctors, the flowers I brought. Every word was careful, every glance loaded. When Eleanor dozed off from the pain meds, Maya finally turned to me in the hallway. We need to talk, she whispered. We ended up in the empty cafeteria sipping terrible coffee while the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. I never thought I'd see you again, she said, staring into her cup. Especially not like this. I wanted to scream at her to demand why she had chosen silence over us, but instead I kept my voice level. Your mom seems nice. Strong. Maya laughed bitterly. She is. That's the problem. She and Dad built everything on reputation, the firm, the community, the church. When they found those messages 2 years ago, they gave me an ultimatum. Choose them or lose everything. I remembered that night too well, the way she had cried on my couch telling me she couldn't be the reason her parents lost face in front of their Vietnamese American circle. I thought I was protecting you too, she added quietly. But I was just scared. The words hung between us like smoke. I wanted to believe her, but the wound was still raw. We talked for hours that afternoon, slipping into old rhythms the way we always had. She told me about the cases she was fighting for immigrant families, how it felt like making up for her own family's rigid rules. I told her about the kids at school, the ones struggling with the same secrets I once carried. For a moment it felt like nothing had changed. But when her phone rang and she stepped away to answer her father, I saw the fear flicker across her face again. That night after I left the hospital, the flashbacks wouldn't stop. I remembered our first date in a quiet Brooklyn bookstore, the way her hand brushed mine over a poetry book, and everything clicked into place. I remembered the weekends we drove upstate pretending we were just friends, the stolen kisses in the car when no one was watching. And I remembered the end. The way she packed her things from my apartment, tears streaming while she whispered, I love you, but I can't lose them. Now here we were again, bound by the woman I had saved. The next morning Eleanor was stronger, demanding I stay for lunch. Maya arrived with takeout and the three of us ate together like some twisted family reunion. Eleanor kept praising me, kept saying how Maya and I would get along so well. Every compliment felt like a knife. Maya and I exchanged glances across the tray, the old spark still there under layers of pain and fear. But I could see the wall going up in her eyes, the same one she had built 2 years ago. By the time I left that evening, my chest ached with the weight of what was coming. The accident had pulled us back together, but the same forces that tore us apart were already circling, waiting to strike again. The tension escalated faster than I could have predicted. 3 days after the crash, Eleanor was discharged, but she insisted on hosting a small thank you dinner at their suburban home in Scarsdale. You saved my life, Charlie. The least we can do is feed you properly, she said over the phone, her voice warm and commanding. I tried to decline, but Maya texted me later that night. Please come. Mom won't take no for an answer and I need to see you. So I drove out on Friday evening, my hands gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. The house was exactly as I had imagined from Maya's old stories. A sprawling colonial with manicured lawns and family photos lining every wall. Eleanor greeted me at the door, hugging me like I was already part of the family. Mr. Nguyen, a stern man in his 60s, shook my hand firmly, but his eyes assessed me the way a lawyer assesses a witness. Maya stood behind them in a simple black dress, looking every bit the successful attorney, yet her shoulders were tense. Dinner started civil enough. Eleanor served pho she had made from scratch, praising my heroic spirit every 5 minutes. Mr. Nguyen asked about my work at the high school, nodding politely when I described helping kids from immigrant families. But then the conversation turned to Maya's career. She's up for partner next year, Eleanor boasted. We've sacrificed so much for her to have this life. No distractions. The word landed like a stone in still water. Maya's fork paused midair. I felt the old familiar pressure rising, the same pressure that had crushed us before. After dessert, Eleanor pulled out old photo albums, wanting to show me the real Maya. There were pictures of Maya as a child in traditional Lao Dai at family gatherings, smiling beside her parents. Then came the high school years, the college graduation. and hidden in the back a single photo of Maya and me at a beach weekend we thought no one knew about. Maya had kept it. Eleanor didn't notice, but Maya's face went pale. Later in the kitchen while we washed dishes she finally spoke. "Charlie, I'm sorry. Seeing you with them, it's tearing me apart." I turned to her, the water running hot over my hands. "Then why are we pretending? Your mom looks at me like I'm some savior, but if she knew the truth about us she'd never speak to either of us again." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "I know. And that's what scares me most. Dad's already talking about how the accident could have ruined our family name if the videos went viral the wrong way. They're planning a big community event to thank the hero. If anyone finds out about us, it would destroy everything." The betrayal I had felt 2 years ago came roaring back, but this time it was mixed with something new: pity for the woman caught between two worlds. We stepped outside to the back porch where the night air was cool and quiet. For a moment we stood close enough that I could smell her perfume, the same one she wore when we were together. "I never stopped loving you," she whispered. Before I could answer, her father called from inside and the moment shattered. Driving home that night I replayed every word, every glance. The dinner had been a warning. The family honor that had once torn us apart was tightening around us again like a noose. And I wasn't sure how much longer I could breathe. The confrontations grew sharper with each passing week. Eleanor recovered quickly and threw herself into planning the community thank you event, turning my simple rescue into a local legend. Invitations went out to their church group, the Vietnamese Business Association, even local news. "You have to speak, Charlie," she insisted during one of our now weekly lunches. "Tell them how you risked everything for a stranger." Maya sat across from me, silent, her eyes pleading. I knew what she was thinking. Every public appearance brought us closer to the edge where someone might recognize us from old social media or connect the dots. My own career started feeling the pressure too. The high school principal called me in after a parent saw the viral video. "We're proud of you, Charlie, but we have to be careful with image. Some families might question our counseling program if it looks too progressive." The word hung there unspoken but clear. Progressive meant accepting people like me. Like us. Maya and I started meeting in secret again, stolen coffee runs, late night drives where we could talk without fear of being seen. One evening in my apartment she broke down. "I'm so tired of hiding. Every time Mom praises you I want to scream the truth. But then I see Dad's face and remember how he said he'd rather lose a daughter than lose face." Her words cut deep because I remembered them too. The night she had repeated them to me while packing her bags. That was the first real betrayal, the moment fear won over love. Now history was repeating. I reached for her hand. "Then don't hide anymore. Tell them. I'll stand beside you." She pulled away, eyes wide with panic. "You don't understand. They cut me off completely. My career, the firm. Everything is tied to their name. I can't lose that, Charlie. Not even for us." The words landed like a slap. I stood up, pacing the small living room. "So what? We keep pretending until one of us breaks again? I saved your mother, Maya. I can't keep saving you from yourself." She left that night without another word, and for 3 days I heard nothing. Then Eleanor called, inviting me to a family barbecue. "Maya's been so quiet lately. Maybe you can cheer her up." I went because refusing would raise suspicions. The backyard was filled with relatives laughing over grilled meats and stories in Vietnamese and English. Maya avoided me most of the afternoon, but when we found ourselves alone by the pool she finally spoke. "I told Mom I might have to go back to the city early for work. She doesn't suspect anything, but I'm scared, Charlie. Scared that if we keep seeing each other someone will find out and everything will explode." Her fear was contagious. That night after everyone left I sat in my car in their driveway replaying the day. The laughter, the family bonds, the pride in their eyes. All of it built on a foundation that would crumble if they knew the truth about their daughter, and the woman they now called a hero. I drove home feeling the weight of every secret pressing down until I could barely breathe. The betrayals were piling up. Maya's fear, my silence, Eleanor's innocent gratitude. Something had to give, and I was terrified of what the breaking point would look like. The pressure reached a boiling point the week before the big community event. Maya's law firm had a major case tied to her family's business connections, and rumors started circulating that any personal scandal could cost her the partnership. She called me at midnight, her voice shaking. "Dad heard someone at church asking if the hero woman is single." He laughed it off, but then he looked at me and said, "We can't have any surprises, Maya. Our reputation is everything. I could hear the tears she was fighting. I'm losing myself again, Charlie. Every time I look at you I remember what we had, and it kills me that I'm too scared to fight for it. We met at a quiet park near the river, the same place we used to walk when everything was secret and safe. The moon reflected on the water while we sat on a bench, not touching but close enough to feel the heat. I've been thinking, I said finally. Maybe I should just disappear after the event. Tell Eleanor I'm moving for a new job. It would protect everyone. Maya's head snapped up. No. That's not fair to you. You've already given up so much. But her voice lacked conviction and I saw the relief flicker in her eyes. The betrayal stung worse the second time. The next day at the planning meeting for the event, Eleanor pulled me aside. Charlie, you've become like a daughter to me. Maya speaks so highly of you even though she tries to hide it. Whatever happens, I want you to know you have a place here. Her words were kind but they felt like chains. That evening Maya showed up at my apartment unannounced. We argued for hours, the kind of raw, honest fight we had never allowed ourselves before. You're choosing them again, I accused. Just like last time. I saved your mother's life and now I'm supposed to save your reputation by walking away. She cried, then the kind of tears that come from deep inside. I'm not strong like you, Charlie. I wish I was. But every time I imagine telling them the truth, I see my father's disappointment, my mother's shame. I can't do that to them. In the silence that followed, I realized the truth. Love wasn't enough when fear had deeper roots. The next morning I called Eleanor and told her I couldn't speak at the event. Family emergency, I lied. Maya texted me later a single line. Thank you for understanding. Understanding. The word tasted like ash. My career took a hit too when the school board quietly suggested I take a leave, for personal reasons. The videos of the rescue were still circulating and parents were asking questions. I sat in my empty apartment staring at the wall, wondering how one act of kindness had cost me everything I had rebuilt. Maya's fear had infected me now, and I hated myself for letting it. The climax was coming fast, and I knew whatever decision I made next would be irreversible. The community event went ahead without me. I watched the live stream from my couch, the screen showing Eleanor on stage praising the brave stranger who had saved her. Maya stood beside her parents, smiling, the perfect daughter, while the crowd applauded. My phone buzzed with a message from her. I miss you. I'm sorry. I didn't reply. Instead, I did the one thing I had sworn I wouldn't. I wrote the truth. Not a dramatic coming out post, but a quiet letter to Eleanor explaining everything. The love Maya and I had shared, the reason for the breakup, the way fear had kept us apart even after the crash. I printed it, sealed it, and drove to their house at dawn before anyone was awake. I left it on the doorstep with a single lily from the bouquet I had brought her weeks ago. Then I drove away knowing there was no turning back. The call came 2 hours later. Eleanor's voice was calm but cold. How could you? After everything, we welcomed you into our home. She didn't yell. She didn't have to. The disappointment in her tone was worse. Maya called next, sobbing. Why, Charlie? Why now? Because I couldn't keep lying, I said quietly. Not to her. Not to you. Not to myself. The consequences hit fast. Eleanor told the family. The news spread through their circle like wildfire. Maya's partnership offer was quietly withdrawn. Her father stopped speaking to her. Eleanor sent me one final message. You saved my body, but you broke my heart. I lost contact with all of them. My own job at the school became untenable after parents complained about moral issues. I moved to a smaller town upstate, started over with nothing but the clothes in my suitcase and the memory of Maya's kiss in that sunny park. Months later, I heard through a mutual friend that Maya had left the family firm, opened her own practice helping LGBTQ clients. She never reached out. I never expected her to. The price had been paid, careers damaged, family bonds severed, reputations shattered. But for the first time in years, I could look in the mirror and see someone who had chosen truth over fear. The cost was devastating, but the freedom was real. Standing on my new balcony watching the sun rise over quiet fields, I wondered if the pain had been worth it. True or false? Is family honor worth more than living your truth as a lesbian?